Jereem the Dream Richards.
I wish I knew the things I knew about track and field now, 6, 7 years ago. I think it would allow athletes now to actually make more money on the circuit, and which is a good thing. Prices going up, gas prices going up.
Welcome back to another episode of the Track World News Podcast. I'm your host, Colin Waitsman, here with our esteemed co-host, Mr. Noah Williams, and our guest. You've seen him on the track, world champion, and multiple time an Olympian on the world stage across both the 200 and the 400, represented in Trinidad and Tobago. Jereem the Dream Richards, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on, man.
I appreciate it, man. It's a pleasure being here. Looking forward to, have a great conversation.
Of course, excited for it. But before we get into any track stuff, how you guys doing? Getting your new year started? How was the holidays and all that? How things go for you guys?
It's been good. I got to spend some time with family back home. Training's been going well, so I'm looking forward to this upcoming season. And yeah, that's been about it.
Yeah, how about you, Noah?
Times are good, man. You know, me and Jereem had a nice Christmas party about a month ago. That was cool, man. We got to chill out, have some fun together too. That was dope.
Hey, who's hosting? Was it you or?
No, it was at Coach House, man. You know, Coach had us over, a little Christmas shindig thing, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, the annual Brahman's Christmas party.
Can we get any insight how you throw a good party? What's inside scoop on
I will tell you, Coach makes a good nacho cheese. He makes a good nacho cheese sauce, yeah.
Okay, all right, there we go. If you ever see Coach Brahman walking around a track, ask him about his nacho cheese. You make a good dip. Good stuff. Well, excited for this conversation with you guys. You guys have been training together for what, 2 years now?
3 maybe?
3 years? 2 years. It'll be 3 years coming up this month now. You know, I came out there to Florida and joined them, and it's been a pleasure to train with Jereem over these past few years. It's really dope to see him. Obviously, I was able to see him as an athlete as a fan perspective, and then joining him and seeing how he is as a man and how he operates every day has been really, really cool.
There you go. And for you, Jereem, like you've been doing this track and field stuff for a little bit. You got a birthday coming up pretty soon. I guess by the time this comes up next week. So I guess happy early birthday to you.
Appreciate that.
Going from the young buck in the game to now, one of the veterans, in this sport. What was it like? And can you picture any time where you go look back at like where you went from, oh, I'm the young guy on this stage to, okay, now I'm feeling like the veteran amongst the people on this circuit?
When you look back and like you hear older, like adults, like your parents tell you, time flies fast. You never realize that it actually does. My first professional year was 2018. Graduated from college in 2017. And I still, in a sense, feel like a young buck, but I'm not a young buck anymore. I'm actually a veteran. I've been in the game a while now, and I've seen myself come from being predominantly more of a 200 guy that runs 4x4s to a guy now that could run both events. It just goes to show, like, over some years, some hard work, some prayer, discipline, and being able to train hard and just have faith in something that you're not able to see could go a long way. I've been blessed by God to be a professional this long, and I'm glad to see that I'm a veteran in the game right now. To be called among some of the bigger athletes that I would have looked up to and being able to run against them now is a blessing, I would say.
That was some of the weirdest things for me with like I got called Unc for the first time, like by some of my friends, like the other day. They're like, "Yo, what's up, Unc?" I'm like, "Damn, I don't feel like I'm 28." I was like, I don't feel that old, but like, all these young bucks I feel like I just finished college, but I'm like, oh no, they're like people in college are like 7 years younger than me now. I'm like, oh no, I'm not. We're in a different lane. I don't feel older. Do you feel? I don't know. It's weird to.
I don't feel old at all, actually. I still feel like 25, 26, maybe 27, which is really good. I think I did a good job with managing my body over the years. I eat healthy, I try to sleep and get enough rest as I could, so I'm able to compete at a high level. But I don't feel old, and I think likewise. If I had to make an analogy, like when you're in high school, your high school teacher probably look the same, or basically, for me at least in Trinidad, when I go home and I go to my high school or my primary school and I go to say hi to my older teachers, they look the same to me. They look the same as when I was in school with them. And I always have this theory, because teachers are around younger students, they're able to stay young. Now, it doesn't have to be like that for real, but I feel like being around some of the younger athletes, like Noah, Idodi, Noah Lai, some of the younger guys, it in a sense kind of keeps me young. It keeps me on my feet, because I mean, I know they come in the game, they hungry, they want it, and I had to want it too, because our own guys that want it, So um, I think that keeps me young.
Yeah, that's what I saw a couple I think it was like videos or interviews with Nick Saban, coach of, former coach of Alabama. And he was saying like he's in his 70s, mid 70s or whatever. And he's like, yeah, when I'm coaching these young kids, that helps keep me young. I think like Tom Brady was saying the same thing of like he would be in the locker room like listening to the same music. He's like he doesn't listen to like rap or whatever he was saying. It's like, but I'm jamming with them because like that's keeping me like young at heart, young at spirit. And it's like, I don't, and he's like, yeah, he was 45 years old, but still felt like he did when he was like 25 and or 30 or whatever. It's like, yeah, you keep that young spirit. Like you're not gonna, you'll age much better as you continue.
Yeah, for sure.
I think as we look at longevity, obviously in every other sport, we kind of deem greatness as longevity being a heavy factor in that. And I think what's so special about what you've done is as you've gotten older almost or gained more years under your belt, like you questionably, arguably had the greatest season of your career just this past year, if we're talking like time statistically. And obviously that's something to commend. So was there ever like a time when it kind of clicked for you? Because I've seen your warm up and I've seen how extensive it is. I've seen the levels that you take it with massage therapists and chiropractors and things of that nature. Was that always in your regimen, or was there a point in your career where that changed?
There was a point in my career where it changed for sure. I wish I knew the things that I knew about track and field now, 6, 7 years ago, 10 years ago. There's so much things we take for granted. It's crazy that you would hear like other people talk about how intensive or extensive their warm up and how important different things are, and you would, because sometimes you not doing all these things may work for you, it mightn't work for you forever. And I think I was a little bit hard headed on certain things, because I feel like what I was doing before worked. So I had no reason to question it. But at a certain point, I would say like it plateaued. So it was like, well, okay, how could we now get better? What else could we do? And that's when I started to find out about, doing activations before you start doing anything. I started to work with Alban. I started to take massage and everything more serious that I did before. And then obviously with age, you need to now maintain your body a little bit better than it was when you was younger. So with all of that, I honestly wish I knew all these things when I was younger. But it definitely goes to show that you need a really good team around you as a professional athlete. And the best of the best athlete the best of the best athletes in the world right now, they work with different people in different areas, like a sports psychologist, be it a chiropractor, massage therapist, all these different people, so that they perform at a high level. And as I would say, when I was younger, I was a little bit hard headed about certain things. So I just didn't feel like I needed it until I actually needed it.
That was something that I utilized in college a little bit. It was just, I guess, kind of a little foreign, but the sports psychologist and sports psychology. I mean, I was a pole vaulter in college, just like very mental sport. Like it was like one of my coaches was like, pole vaulting is 90% mental, and then the rest is in your head. So it's just like it's all about that mental strength. What was like your guy? Sounds like you had one too. I'm not sure if you did as well, Noah. Like your experience with a sports psychologist, like, and how that might have helped your performance. Because it took me a little while to want to do it. Like I thought that I was like, no, I'm a man. I'm good. I'm all right. I don't need to do all that. It took me a little while, but it was helpful for me at least. I don't know about you.
For me, I had the same notion. The first time I dealt with my sports psychologist, her name is Lisa Mohan Watts. She's also from Trinidad. Was when I was a junior athlete. Actually, I went to the Carifta Games, which is held Easter weekend every year. Is a junior Caribbean meet. Went to the Carifta Games. I maybe would have been the third or second fastest person going into the meet based on time for the 200 meters. I did well in the heats, won my heat, and the semifinals, I barely made it. And I was like, my season's best at that point was 20.82 on the 20. And in the semifinals, like I barely ran 21.5. And I was wondering, like, how did I run so slow? And I was actually trying. So I was kind of a little bit depressed. I was like a little bit scared, barely made it into the final, got lane 8. So I went to talk to my sports psychologist. She was part of the team, and she gave me a lot of tips. Was able to help me get out of my own head and be able to trust in myself and believe in myself that I would, be able to perform at a high level. And I ended up achieving my first CRIFTA individual medal. Finished third in the 200 meters that year, ran a windy PR of 2069. So it was a big deal for me. Fast forward a few years, I dealt with her 2013, a little bit in 2014, and then I hadn't spoken to her because I went to college. So we hadn't keep in contact for a while. And my second year as a professional, 2019, I remember the year prior, I had a really, really good workout. 300, 10 minutes, 200, broken 5. I ran like 32.4 easy, came back and ran like 20.7. So the following year now, the same workout came around at the same point in time. But this year, the World Championships was in Doha, and Doha was in October. So I was in more shape the year before. This year, we were running a little bit slower. But needless to say, I still had the same mentality that, hey, this is what I did last year. This is what I'm going to do this year. Went out there, did the workout. I ran a measly 34 flat and maybe 21.8. And I was disappointed, bro. And I was depressed. I took that workout months down the road. I had a lot of self-doubt, but I used that as an opportunity to reconnect with my sports psychologist. I reconnected with her, and we were able to salvage the season. And it showed me the importance of being able to conquer yourself mentally, because as you said with pole vault, track and field and life, I think it's all in your head. Like your perspective on life and how you deal with things, it starts all up here first. And if you could be in the best shape in your life, like in on track, you could be running the fastest times in practice, but if mentally you're not prepared to do that, it doesn't matter. The body follows what the mind thinks, and if the mind isn't in a place to perform at a high level, then the body isn't going to do it. So that's what I've learned, and that's something that helped me a lot as a professional athlete. I think at the end of the day, I could only do as well as I could do. I could only beat myself and become the best me that I could be. So regardless of the competition, I'm just trying to be the best me on that day.
Yeah, the mental aspect isn't something that I think a lot of people outside of running would think of, or outside of track and field. Like I'm sure people can picture in basketball, okay, there is the last, like there's 3 seconds left, you got to make the three, or you're playing football, and if you make this field goal, you go to the Super Bowl. If you miss it, you're not going. People can picture that, I think, but don't really understand that tension that there may be like on the line. Can you think of, was there any race that you look back at where you were like, man, I was just nervous as hell on this line? Anything, or anyone in particular that, your heart was jumping a little more than normal when you were lining up there?
I would say for that experience for me was my first time running at the Commonwealth Games in 2014. It would have been my first time competing individually on the international stage. It was in Glasgow, Scotland. It was a full packed crowd, European crowds. Europeans love track and field, so it was packed, and it was loud, it was noisy. I remember Warren Ware was in my heat. My PR at the time was 20:58. If I ran anywhere close to that, even if I ran 21 flat, I'd make it out of the heats. I remember I went out there. This was my first time hearing the uproar of a crowd, full crowd. and I got lost. I was scared. I went to the line. I set my blocks up wrong. I was worried about Warren Ware being in the race because he was an athlete. He's an athlete that I look up to, and I looked up to when I was younger also. I set my blocks up wrong and I ran like 21-2. Didn't make it out of the heats. I was disappointed, but I feel like all in all, as athletes, we need to go through. We need to take them else on the chest and be able to use it as a lesson going forward. Because after that experience, when I went out to the international stage and saw a big crowd, it didn't faze me anymore because I experienced it before.
That happened. So similar thing happened to me in pole vaulting once. I remember vividly. It was my first conference championship where I was like projected to win. My freshman year, there was a couple of really good people. It was my sophomore year, and I think you might have actually been able to see my heart like bumping out of my chest, like through my jersey. Like, and I had one of them loose jerseys. I had a loose singlet, man. It wasn't too tight. And I grabbed the wrong pole, like, this pole was wet, like my warm up. It was way too small, and like so I go through, and it just like I just roll way through right out of the back of the box, and I'm just like, oh my god, how did I not notice this? I've never made this mistake before. But it like helps calm you down, like, oh, I messed up. Let me just reset a little bit. But yeah, it was. I think I was just like seeing 5 different pits when I was lining up. It's just like super nerve wracking.
Bro was nervous, man. That's crazy. I think probably the most nervous I've been before a race was probably my first professional race we ran in Ocean Breeze. You know what I mean? Like I felt the college environment, I felt the high school environment, but like my very first pro one, it was weird. It was like, yeah, this is me. Like I don't have a school on my chest right now. Like this is me. Obviously Adidas and whatnot, USA, but it just felt a little different. That was a different level of pressure. Jereem was actually in that race. He won that race. Yeah.
The one thing I would always tell like young athletes or first year pro athletes, forget everything you learned in college. Like college and pro, you can't compare it at all. The collegiate system prepares you well to perform well in college, and just having like a team, the team aspect of it helps a lot too. But when you are pro, it's all you, bro. It's all you, and if you don't know how to deal with it mentally, and if it's your first time experience, it's something you just had to learn from it. You just had to put yourself in a position where you're just ready to learn. Like you start from scratch, is a new leaf, and just ready to learn from scratch, everything new.
What are some of those? Oh, sorry. What you got now?
No, I was gonna say like it's such a mental difference from a collegiate circuit and collegiate competition versus grown ass men. Like the mindset and the mental strength and mental fortitude of a grown man is completely different of a college kid. Like in a race, in a competitive setting, you can almost instill fear in other college kids. Especially if you're a top dog, like you can instill fear in others. You can see when somebody's nervous. You can see when somebody's going to break or fold. But when you get to this professional circuit with these grown men, veterans, people that have been around the game, they have a different psyche and they have a different mental capacity, mental strength, mental fortitude that they're not going to be shaken at any point in this race, right? And that's like one of the biggest battles because our talent levels across the board is pretty similar. Like obviously you have some outliers and whatnot, but that mental notch or that mental edge is low key everything. Like I can't understate it,
The mental edge is everything, bro. Like you correct everyone. We damn near all on the same talent level. Some of us just mentally in a place where others just not.
Yeah. There was I guess for you guys, you mentioned that the college, athletes or the college atmosphere is so different from like what it's like when you're competing in the pros. What are some of those like big differences, like whether it's training wise or mentally or just like I guess with what you have to support you, like how is it actually different when you get started?
The support, you have that support of a team environment. You have that support. It's like in college you have the training wheels on. Everything is set up for you to be successful. From the cafeteria, from the gym being ready at a certain time to the recovery. You have a specific day massage gonna come in. You have sports psychologists And none of these things are going to be out of pocket for you. You ain't paid for none of this because your scholarship covers all of this. As a pro, you lose everything and you pay for everything. So all the transactions that you would have never had to make before in college, you now have to find someone to get a massage. You got to pay them out of your pocket. Like you got to do all these things that somebody would have done for you. So it's like somebody just snatched the training wheels off the bike and like, yo, learn how to ride, and you got to figure it out.
Dang, that can be tough. Just going from, especially if you're one of these, if you're coming from a, like in Alabama or, in LSU or, one of those big Power 5 schools, especially now with NIL too. If you want to all them, like I know, track and field, I'm sure it's starting to get a little bit more NIL stuff as it develops. But like, yeah, if you go from that, you're the top dog, you win NCAA championships, and then it's like, all right, now you start back at, you got to find your coach, you got to find your thing. Like that can be a big, I guess, a huge shock, for sure.
Yeah, it's a change in the mental load for sure, but it just goes back to who can handle it and who can't, who can have that mental edge, despite all the things that you have to compartmentalize as a professional versus a collegiate, but it just separates the boys from the men. It's like something you got to love it though. Like you got to love it for real. You got to love everything that comes with it.
I was listening to the Noah Lyles podcast with Tara Davis Woodall, and they were talking about like playing mental games, like whether when they were jumping, like when he said when he was jumping up before the 200, he was like, yeah, I'm playing mental games with the people that are in that race and everything like that. And there's some athletes that are more that like try doing all that, whether it's in the mix zone, not the mix zone, sorry, what's right before you go out to the track? Not green room. That's
like the pre-race tent,
concert.
Yeah,
that area, like before
core room too.
Yeah, the car room. Bro.
Yes. Like whether people doing that. What would you say? What's your style of that? Are you trying to get in other athletes' heads, or is it like I'm just focused on me and that's it?
I just focus on me, dog. Me personally, I don't have time for that. I focus on me. I feel like if anything, I enjoy track and field. So maybe in the tent, if I feel like things are a little bit too tense, and one thing I've realized running the 200 professionally and running the 400 professionally, 400-meter runners, the core room is very tense, and I don't understand why it is that tense. So like my first time experiencing it, it was like just dead silence. Everybody sitting down there, nobody saying anything. I like, yo, is it always? I think maybe I spoke to Voon and I was like, yo, is it always like this? He was like, yeah. He was like, yeah, dog, we about to get that lactic. And I was like, in comparison to the 200 meters, like we would still talk to each other before a race, and it would be still like friendly competition. But in the 400, I've realized ain't nobody trying to talk to anybody before the 4. Yeah, everybody's silent. It's too tense for me personally, coming from the 200 meters to the 4.
I could imagine, like, yeah, you're about to, after this race, you're gonna feel like death. Like, hey, I got like one more minute before I'm gonna start feeling terrible. So, I mean, I get it too. I probably wouldn't want to talk to a whole lot of people in a 400 if I was about to go through all that.
Yeah, I can understand it, but I still try to like have some type of conversation just to lighten the mood, make it a little bit more relaxed. Some people buy into it, some don't, but that's just my way of, it's not me like trying to get in other people's head, but it's my way of making the mood light for me so it doesn't feel that tense.
Yeah, when you're not like as like not uppity, but like just the more relaxed that you're feeling, like it's weird, like when you see races and people are like, oh, it didn't even look like they were trying that race, or oh, it looked so effortless. Like imagine if they looked like they were pushing more effort out of it. Like that's when you're actually like when you're in that flow state and you're running the best. Like when you're not when you're not mentally pushing or having that like like grimace on your face, which is weird. Like when you're in that flow spot, it's like, oh no, that's exactly where you actually want to be.
Yeah, for sure. My sports psychologist and I, we talk about it, and I've gotten so better at it mentally now. We don't have as much meetings as we did, but the last few meetings that we've had was trying to access that zone, and we call it the zone of optimal performance. And when you get into that zone, it's like you're not even trying. As you said, it's like a flow state. So it's like my body and mind is together as one, and I don't even have to try to run. Like my brain and my body knows what to do. For me specifically, it feels like a outer body experience in a sense. It feels like I'm watching myself running because I'm not even trying. It's just happening. So it happens autonomously.
Mm. Yeah, gotta have the be relaxed going through it. So I meant to bring this up in the beginning, but so you guys obviously are training together, you're practicing. I saw Caleb Dean posted. I think Noah, you were also doing your verticals the other day. Jereem, I'm seeing Noah beating you out on the on the vertical jump. What's going on there, man?
Yeah.
You letting this happen?
Sometimes you just had to be as best as you could be. You had to be in your own lane. I was in my own lane. I was in my own lane, dog. But they good. It was a good little session. We all went out there and pushed each other to our best. And now we're able to have some numbers and some statistics back on how well the body works, how explosive it is, how equal each side of the body is. And now it's time to see who's able to take that research and actually apply it to the track.
Yeah, I was gonna say, can you give some insight on that, or what you got now?
Nah, I think it was just a dope thing that we did. Obviously, we brought a lot. It brought a lot out of everybody for sure. It definitely brought a lot out of me because we are all competitive. Like as a group, we kind of talk about who the best athlete, who can do this, or you can't do that, or you can't jump high as me. So it definitely fed the banter in the group. I made a little bit of money on the side, a little side bet, but we ain't got to name drop or nothing like that. But I did well, so it was cool just to kind of see. And as for yourself, like, okay, this is what I'm jumping right now. This is how much force I could put into the ground right now. Let me make sure that this is translating properly to the track. Otherwise, it's just useless information for real. So that data stuff is cool. We can look into data a lot, and we watch film and do all those kind of things. But like at the end of the day, it's running. So you can't get too like tripped up and caught up on that data stuff because like I've seen people do it, like get so obsessed with it and it's just like not always positive, you know.
Yeah, it can get just your mind wrapped in like what it is that we got going on. Too much of it. No,
Yeah.
for sure. I want to take things back real quick, or I guess kind of shift it just a bit. So you started off with South Plains and then finished off at Alabama. And so we saw just recently. So I want to get, I guess, your insight on this, where the I guess NCAA is now allowing where if you're starting off at JUCO and then going to a Division I school, they're allowing you to still have your full eligibility instead of where, hey, if you go there for 2 years, you only get 2 years later. This being, you're someone where had you been growing up, just a few years later, that would have been able to impacted you. How would you feel about this new change? Do you think it's a positive one since I guess you're in a position, or is it like, hey, maybe not as much?
I think it's a positive one, especially for internationals. And I mean, I guess for everyone who goes to JUCO low key, because it gives you more time to blossom, and it one gives you the ability to not just get a bachelor's degree but a master's degree if it takes you that long. But it gives you time. More than likely, the most positive thing I think it does is give you time. If you're not able to become a professional athlete through junior college, then you still have 4 more years in Division I. So you still have 4 more years to get your act together, to get fast enough, to get recognized enough. So I think it would help. It would be a help for the sport, and I think it's something positive for the athletes because it gives you that time and the ability, 6 years now, to be able to get a chance and a shot to become a professional athlete and get a contract. So it's definitely a good initiative. Would I have wished that I was in college around that time? I think everybody's journey is different. I did 2 years in South Plains and 1 year in Alabama, and I was able to go pro after that. So I guess if it was still alive, I wasn't going to be able to use it. But yeah, I think it's a good initiative, though. It's going to help a lot of athletes.
Yeah, he's not worried about them NCAA rule changes, man. He up in the Grand Slam now. He on some different stuff right now. You know what I mean?
Big up Grand Slam one time, dog.
Hey, so
Yeah.
tell me about the Grand Slam a little bit, Jereem. Like, how did this come about? It's obviously the most exciting event going on or about to go on in our sport. And you are one of the headliners of it, one of the stars of the show there. So tell me about how this might have came about and why go that route? What was the why for you in there in that?
Um, Grand Slam is the best of the best. I really like the group that I'm in. 200, 400, my playing field, my bread and butter. That's the type of athlete I am. I'm just really excited. I have the ability to run against the three Olympic medalists. I was part of that race, just missed out on a medal, so it could be a revenge tour this upcoming season. I mean, running against Matt, running against Quincy, running against Samakonga, and obviously we'll have the challenges coming in. So I think that's about to be really exciting. We have four really good locations where these meets going to be at. Is at 2-day meet. Last time we did anything like this was in college, So I'm really excited to see how it goes, to see how the other athletes are able to handle the back-to-back running and the 2-4, bro. 2-4, my bread and butter, dog. I just really excited for it, honestly. There's a lot of hype behind it, and I think it's right to have that type of hype behind it because we could potentially see some of the fastest times in the world ever run. If you look back of the collegiate season, we've seen athletes run back to back and run fast times. So I'm just really excited to be in an event where we're able to showcase the two events, and then obviously is the two events that I'm good at. So I'm just excited and looking forward to it, honestly.
Yeah, I'm excited for Grand Slam. It should be good. And then, so we're going to get started with that in a couple months from now, where I guess we'll be going down to Jamaica. So curious for you have you raced at all four of these tracks before, or are some of these going to be
I
new?
raced Kingston. I raced Philly before. Um, I raced Miami, Miramar. Um, LA. LA might be the only one that I haven't raced before.
So then, of the four places, which
Kingston.
I was going to say, okay, there you go. So why Kingston? Why are you looking forward to that one the most?
After my experience in Jamaica this year, it is by far one of the best places I've ever went to compete. Um, the vibe, the crowd, the energy, the food, it was like unlike any other. The love was there, and I think that was most important. Like they cheered for everyone. They are true Jamaicans, are true track and field fans. And obviously, me being from the Caribbean, just walking the streets of Jamaica, it felt like home. It felt like Trinidad and Tobago to me, So it felt like home, and then it's close to Trinidad and Tobago. So maybe my parents could be able to come and see me compete in a different country. That would be good. But Jamaica, because the hype, the people there, they really love track and field, and I had a really good experience there last time. So I'm just looking forward to it again, honestly.
Is it much of a rivalry between like the other Caribbean countries, or are you guys all kind of like support each other together? It's not like, Jamaicans are booing Trinidad Tobago, or is it more of a rivalry, or is it more of a, hey, like I want to see all of us kind of succeed? What's been your experience?
Um, it's a rivalry when it comes to who has the best KFC, which is Trinidad. But when it comes to sport, though, and I think all Caribbean countries, we support each other. Outside of when we compete against each other directly, like in the Curifta games or anything, but we always support each other. For example, when we go to the Olympic Games or when we go to the World Championships, you look out for everybody from the Caribbean because it's like that's your neighbor, you know? So we have that kind of neighborhood vibe, that neighborhood love that we support each other even though we compete against each other. And that's what I like about the Caribbean. We support each other wholeheartedly, and because we understand each other's struggles and we have so much similarities.
Mm-hmm. I've been hearing that for a while. I've never been down to Trinidad and Tobago, I was in Jamaica briefly once. But I hear all this about the KFC. what is different like about KFC in Trinidad and Tobago or Jamaica? Like, is it actually that much better than it is in the States? I've been
It
hearing
is
about this so much.
day
And
and
what makes
night, bro. Day and night. Day and night. I feel like KFC was invented in Trinidad, Loki, and then pirated to other countries. But I would say Jamaica has really, really good barbecue chicken. Their fried barbecue chicken is the best I've ever had. But our spicy chicken and our original KFC recipe in Trinidad is the best in the world. Um, it's just no debate. We KFC in the Caribbean is just different. It's like everyone has their own Caribbean little flavor in the KFC, and that what makes it a little bit different.
we'll
I
have to
think
try that.
my bad, bro. But hey, I'll attest to the Jamaican KFC. I've had that. I have not been to Trinidad yet. We still planning a trip to Carnival here soon. So, I'll figure that out at another time. But back to the Caribbean community. I've been at meets with you and I've seen the love that you get from the Caribbean community. It's like bigger than everybody else. Like the American athletes show love for sure, and the European athletes show love for sure. But the Caribbean, everywhere you go, they follow and they show a lot of love. And as I'm sitting here thinking about it, it seems like you are the most decorated male sprinter from the Caribbean since Bolt. So it's like you are the guy. I don't. I mean, I could be wrong.
You
I mean,
might be
Johan, obviously,
you
but
might
I don't.
be wrong. There's a lot. There's a lot. I would say there's a lot.
Okay. There's a lot. Okay,
One of I
there's
would
the
say one
folks.
of maybe
No
one of.
disrespect to anybody, but basically what I'm saying is you are one of the greatest sprinters to come from the Caribbean, and people look up to you. People really look to you as inspiration, as like their hero almost, probably in the sport of track and field. So, how do you carry that? How do you manage that? And how do you feel about that?
Um, I feel good about it. I'm blessed. I've been blessed by God to be able to do something that I would have done for free. I would have run track for free, and maybe do it. I mean, do it as a hobby for free. But I've been blessed by God. I'm actually doing something I can make money with. Um, it's just a big blessing, bro. It's humbling. I try not to think about it because I don't want to be cocky that, people look up to me, people give me all this praise. It's not me, it's God, because I've been blessed. But at the same time, it's a warm feeling to know that you go to different Caribbean countries, people notice you, people tell you that they appreciate what you do, how you carry about yourself, stuff like that. It is motivation for young athletes, and I always aspire to be an athlete that younger athletes could look up to. I aspire to be someone that younger athletes could draw motivation from because I come from humble beginnings. Um, I never grew up in a rich family, and I had to work hard for each and every achievement that I was able to achieve. And through the grace of God, over years of hard work, prayer, um, sacrifices from my mom and dad that they had to make ends meet, so I was able to go to college. I was able to go to practice and stuff like that. Um, I'm at where I'm at right now, and I'm very grateful because I've always seen myself in this spot when I wasn't in this spot, and to actually pray for something and actually be in the position that you were praying to be is unreal. Is I can't even describe how it is. So it's just been a blessing, and I always want to be that person younger athletes can look up to and draw motivation from because I believe the Caribbean has a lot of talent. We just don't have the resources that the US might have. So that's why you would see a lot of Caribbean athletes come to the collegiate system and try to now use that system so that they could harness their talents and become some of the best athletes in the world. And I just want to be someone that, as I would say again, I want to be someone that younger athletes could draw reference from and be able to become better than I have and achieve better than I've ever achieved, but do it in a positive way and be able to give glory to God for the blessings that He's bestowed upon them.
You said that you had always been kind of like wanting to be in this spot, seeing yourself in this position. Was there ever any point, whether it was as a professional or in college, where you were questioning that, where you weren't too sure if, you know, like, hey, I don't want to do this. It doesn't feel worth it. And could you share like when that might have been for you, if it was?
There were two specific times that I've ever questioned myself if this is what I want to continue doing. I've been running track since I was like 8, 9 years old. So this would have been like maybe either 2001 or 2000. I've never made a national team until my last year under 17. And in the run of trying to make a national Trinidad and Tobago team and not making it, there was one year in particular that I just got fed up of just always being short of making the team. And I told my mom that I think I want to try something else for a while. And I started to play, well, football or soccer for a little bit. And then I realized how difficult it would be to be successful in soccer. And I started back running track, and my mom kind of motivated me, like, you know, you should go back running track. You actually had something good going. And then eventually I made a national team. And the second time that I questioned myself was my second year in junior college. I actually opened up 46, 49. My sophomore year in junior college, was in really good shape. Ended up getting a sports hernia that year and had to do surgery. And the road coming back from surgery is one of the most difficult things ever. Like, I felt like I had to learn to run from scratch all over again. And just the uncertainty of, will my body ever function the same way as it did before? It made me question, like, what if this doesn't work out? Like, what you're gonna do? And I wasn't unsure. I was really unsure because track and field has always been my passion. It is what I like. It's what I love. It's what I've been good at from a young age. I was always fast, and to see it so close to slipping away from me, it was like, what would I do? And I just didn't know. And as I just took it to God in prayer, and I kept working, and I was able to catch myself back. But those were the two times that I felt like giving up a little bit because I guess progress was slow in another sense, and I just was uncertain of what the future had for me in the sport.
Dang, could have stopped before. Dang, Noah, were you even born when you, in 2000? You would have been stopping before you would have. Jeez, that, and then just had that lot of mental resilience. Good thing you ended up staying. I mean, I'm sure soccer probably would have done pretty well. It probably would have been able to do well there. Just kick the ball, run down the field, see how you do.
I was faster than everyone, so I tried, but team sports, you have to associate with too much going on. I could be accountable for me, and I like track and field for that because I could be accountable for myself, not for somebody else.
Yeah, hey, you got to be a special kind of athlete to get a sports hernia too. I say that to everybody. Like, you have to be so cold to get a sports hernia. Like, everybody's not getting a sports hernia, bro. I swear. You can look it up too. Like, the athletes, the list of athletes that have been on record getting sports hernias is like super, super elite. Like, it's just a weird fact that I know.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, for real. Like, you have to be like really cold to get a sports hernia. It's got to do obviously with like the force you put in the ground versus what your body can
The two
withstand
people,
and hold.
you low-key right. The two people that I know that had a sports hernia, rest in peace, Dion Lendo, sports hernia. And also there's a 400 hurdler from Trinidad and Tobago. His name is J. Hugh Gordon. He was world champion in the 400 hurdles in 2013, PR 47.65 or 67. He also had a sports hernia too at some point.
Yeah, I had one too. Like, you got to be cold. I wouldn't say it. Like, you
can say that now.
I had listen.
Yeah,
you got to be one of the best athletes out there, like myself. For
real, but nah, like the list is long. Odell Beckham, Tom Brady, Randy Moss, Damian Lillard, like very elite athletes. Time and time again get these sports hernias. It's weird, but it's just something to note.
Yeah, Odell Beckham, Tom Brady, Noah Williams, Deion Lindo, all the right,
all the greats.
1% of the 1%. 100%.
Yeah.
There you go. No, that's good. So, like, I wanted to go back a little bit. You mentioned it, how, with Grand Slam, you're going to be able to get that, I guess, potential revenge tour here coming up against some of the, the people you were facing. I'd love to hear how, like, what was that first 24 hours like right after that 400 meters? I mean, you set a personal best, a national record. You're running, the fastest times of your career, and it just so happened to be like an incredibly fast heat. Like, how do you take that right after the race, and like what's the feeling, after coming, so close to, that?
Immediately after the race, obviously realizing that I crossed the line at fourth place, I was disappointed. I feel like I had one of the best years of my career, if not the best year of my career, especially, over 400 meters. Why it hurt so much and why was I disappointed? Um, because I was at my best. It was the fastest I ever ran, mentally, physically, spiritually. I was in a good place, very balanced. I had that inner gut feeling, and all athletes know. You know when you get to the line and you're gonna win. You know that feeling. I had that gut feeling, like, yo, this race is gonna be yours. You're gonna win this race. Um, I was firing on all cylinders. I had no excuses, and I never have excuses. But my body was at 100%, and my 100% wasn't good enough for a medal. So it was like me now having to look in the mirror and be like, okay, Jereem, this is the best you've ever ran. This is the best you've ever felt. This is the best you were ever mentally and physically. And it was not good enough. You've laid the foundation as best as you've ever laid it before, and it was not good enough. It was hard for me to accept that my best wasn't good enough for something tangible. Um, After I felt like that, the feeling of what's the word I'm looking for? I just didn't want to feel ungrateful. It was something that I prayed for. It was something that I took to praying with God, and I was able to perform at a high level and not achieve it. And I didn't want my disappointment to seem ungrateful to Him. So it was now me kind of questioning myself: is it ungrateful? The third feeling I felt joy, because it's like, yo, you've been wanting to run 43 for years. And I was telling Noah this in practice, maybe Friday or Thursday, um, that one of my fears in this sport was to live out my life in this sport and not be able to live up to my full potential in the 400 meters. Since my first break as a professional athlete or in the World Championships in 2017, finished third in the 200 meters, and obviously I had the fastest split in the 4x4, Trinidad winning the 4x4 that year, split 46.3. The talk has always been, what could Jereem Richards do over 400 meters? He could possibly be a 43 guy. And years went on, I never took the 400 meters seriously. So one of my fears was always, what if you're not able to live up to the potential that people see in you? And obviously being able to run 43 seconds and kind of writing that off on the vision board, I'm like, you know what? In all the disappointment and all the mixed emotions, there's still something to be thankful for. And I was really thankful for that. The last feeling I had a feeling of numbness for like a week. So people would come up to me and say, well, congratulations. A lot of people would also say, they sympathize with me, that they could have seen that I put 100% out there. And, they sorry I didn't get a medal, but I gave my best. You could see that I gave my best foot forward there. I just wasn't feeling any way about it. I wasn't feeling happy. I wasn't feeling sad. I felt numb for about a week. And when I got that closure of, just accept the fact that this was your best performance and it wasn't good, but you were still able to achieve a lot. When I came to that point and I realized that, I was like, well, okay, I know how to feel. So now I'm just grateful for it, honestly. I've been able to achieve something that I've wanted to achieve for a while, and I've been able to push my body to a limit that I've been trying to work towards for a very long time, and a limit that a lot of people trying to get to also.
So that, yeah, lot of great stuff there. A lot of great insight. I can imagine like that had to be tough. I mean, we can hear, the you got the family with you, kids in the background that we can hear a little bit. What was it like with them, like being able to come home or I guess I'm sure they might have been in Paris with you, of having that support of, being able to go back with people that know you so well off the track. It's not just Jereem, the 400-meter runner, or the 200-meter runner. It's, the dad, how was that support for you, when you're coming back?
It was great. Usually I don't like my family, specifically my mom, to be there to watch me compete. I'm very close to my mother. My mother is very emotional, and so am I. And I don't think I could see myself seeing my mom in an emotional state because I'm competing. Thankfully, I did not see them in the stadium at all. They were there. They were there for every single round, but I didn't see them at all. I only saw them after. And I'm thankful that I didn't see them, because I think my wife would have told me that my mom was all over the place. So I'm glad I didn't see them. But I was glad that I was able to see them after, so that they could have been there to support me and comfort me and congratulate me in a time of need. Because obviously, it's the Olympic Games, it's the biggest games, the biggest meet of the year, the biggest meet that everyone watches. All track and field fans and non-fans look at the Olympic Games, and track and field specifically. So to have them there to support me in that time was something really needed, and just something I was glad. I was just glad to have my family there. And this was the first time my wife ever traveled overseas to see me compete. Likewise, my mom. This was her first time at the championships, and obviously now I have video and photos of my daughter watching me running. And I think this is something that I could go back years after and show her, look, you was watching daddy running in the Olympics in 2024.
It'll be a cool moment when how old's your daughter?
1 year. She just turned 1 year, so she's 14 months now.
There you go. Yeah, it'll be real cool when she realizes like how big of a deal like that, like how cool that is. Like when she's like, I'm sure like in like first grade, second grade, she's like, oh wait, like that wasn't just no track, like that was like, oh, my dad's cold, like he's one of them ones. Okay, never mind. Like I was saying, it'll be cool when she starts to really, I guess, realize like, oh, this is some cool stuff, like of what my dad's able to achieve, where we were able to go. I'm sure as you continue, progress your career. So, I mean, like, what's this season, looking like for you? Of like, you said that did that, rematch ability with Grand Slam, did that play a part? Like, did you know, oh, I have this opportunity, or did it just kind of happen sporadically, I guess, for you?
And I wouldn't say it was sporadic, but when the opportunity presented itself, and I saw the people that signed before me, I couldn't pass that up. I couldn't pass up opportunity like that. So I mean, I took it upon myself. I want to be part of something new, something special. This is going to be year one of something great. In a sense, I feel like we are like the pioneers. It's going to be great. It's going to be good. And just as I say, having the opportunity to run against the 3 medalists in the Olympic Games and getting to toss up with them again, and this is 4 times in 2 events, I'm excited to do it, man.
Yeah.
Especially in that 200 though.
Yeah, get to go down. They say, okay, come down to my waters now, man. Water's cold. We got so right now it feels like there's a real renaissance with track and field. I mean, we've got, Grand Slam track, like we said, Athlos on the women's side of things, World Athletics announcing their World Ultimate Championship. And, we're doing the mixed 4x1 somehow. We'll see how that works. Like, there's a lot of new stuff coming on in track. Where do you see this taking us as, one of these competitors where, this is involving you, and I guess, Noah's involving you guys too, of where do you think this sport is going with all these, changing things as of the last, just recently, like within the last year or so?
I think it would go well. I think the more initiatives that they do, the different things is bringing more eyes to the sport. But then also with the different leagues, it definitely adds competition to the market. And when competition comes to the market, everybody kind of up the game. When everybody trying to up the game, we have to pay more. Athletes now have the ability to make good money, and I think it's been in the talks with a lot of athletes now. We need more money, and I think it would allow athletes now to actually make more money on the circuit, and which is a good thing. Things prices going up, gas prices going up. We gotta live, dog. We gotta live. So I think it's good that athletes now have the ability to make more money on the circuit. It would definitely help a lot of people, and with different leagues now, I would say that everyone now has an opportunity to eat. It's not just centered in one place. Everyone has an opportunity to eat now, and that's what we need.
Mhm. Yeah, like some of these the prize monies I see for what is for Grand Slam. What is the 100? Is it 100K if you win?
Hondo, dog.
Ooh,
Hondo.
yeah. That's nice, man. Yeah, it's there are a lot more of these things where I think what was it, like Diamond League,
20.
they upped their thing now, but
Mhm.
it's you're getting these opportunities, so you get a lot more chances to make this impact and make some more money, which I think even as fans, like, we're invested in having what are these athletes being able to bring home. We want you guys like to be able to put on something, because if you're running more comfortable, you can make it more of an exciting show, put in more money, because like you said, you are paying for all these things on your own, your coaching staff and everything. So it's like, if you get more better performances and more better experience for the fans that are watching as well.
Facts.
So you mentioned that you had raced at in Franklin Field too. Was that at Penn Relays?
Yeah, when I was a junior athlete, I had the luxury of making USA versus the world back in the day. Represented Trinidad twice, I think in 2012 and 2013. So I raced there twice in my lifetime.
Was that the year that Bolt was there for USA versus the world in the 4x1?
What he was there 1 year. I'm not sure if it's 13 or 12, but he was there 1 year. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew it was close. It was something like that. I remember. So that was my like. I went to Penn Relays every year from when I was in from like 2011 to like 2019, pretty much. I was able to go there a lot, being in Philadelphia area. And so that
Yeah.
was I remember my first experience, or like seeing how live these, Jamaican fans, Trinidad Tobago fans, they got the food carts outside, music's blaring, they got the vuvuzelas going nuts. And my first ever race, I remember in my 4x1, I was racing someone against Trinidad and Tobago. And it was because, for those that don't know, Penn Relays, massive meet, and like you warm up like an hour before you actually like get to the track. It's like warm up, and then you like stand in the cold in Philadelphia for like
Yeah, be cool there for real, yeah.
it's always cold. It's always cold. And so I remember, so I'm just waiting, and I'm standing in my spikes on like the infield, and there's the guy that's from Trinidad and Tobago. I'm like, hey, we're everyone's asking like, oh, you run, like, what do you run? What do you run? Like, people trying to figure that out. And like I ask him, he's standing right on the outside of me. He's like, what do you run? He's like, I've never ran track before. I'm like, yeah, BS, bro. And then I've never been dusted harder in my life. Dude just got out. I'm like, yeah, you lying. He made it to like the final. They made it to like the final of like USA versus the world. Like, yeah, you just lied like crazy to me. Yeah, realize though, they take track a lot differently, a lot more serious when it comes to over on the islands. It's a big thing.
For real, like I remember when I first came to college, I was talking to one of my friends, Brian Smith. You know Brian, I'm Noah.
Shout
And
out to the city, Brian Smith. My fault. Go
yeah,
ahead,
shout
bro.
out B Smith, B Smith. But I was talking to him and I was like, well, like what you all trying to do? You're trying to go pro. And Brian was by far one of the most talented athletes I've ever met. He didn't really train that hard, but he was talented. And I was like, well, most people from the Caribbean, you come to the US for the resources, but you trying to make a career out of this track and field. And Brian was like, well, nah, I just trying to like get through college. And I couldn't understand. In my mind, I couldn't understand it because I wasn't thinking where he was thinking. He was like, he just trying to get his college paid for. I was like, well, you're not trying to go pro and stuff. He was like, nah, I just trying to get college paid for, and that was it. And I was like, well, all right. I mean, everybody have their own path. Everybody have, their different path to go down. But I just didn't understand that some people, they just use track and field as a means to go to college and don't have to pay for it, get a free education. I was trying to get everything out of it, honestly. But it just goes to show like track and field could take you different places. Like you could use it to get different ways, like just to maneuver yourself so differently in life, if you utilize it the right way.
Yeah, like I realized probably like my freshman or like probably like my freshman sophomore year of college. I was like, all right, this pro track thing ain't gonna happen for me. I ain't got the talent. I worked hard. It's just not for me. It's okay. I'm not gonna be able to make it. But that doesn't mean I can't be able to, to open up doors and make an impact like through this thing of like, whether it, starting this thing up and, wouldn't be having this conversation. I was talking to my mom earlier. I was helping her take down their Christmas stuff or whatever. And I was like, yeah, like if you told me 3 years ago that at this point in my life, if I go to like a track meet and I see, Jereem Richards, Noah Williams, I see Justin Gatlin or any of these people, like I see any people like in track world, like they'll be like, oh, hey Colin, like I know who you are, like what's up? And I'm like, if you told me that a few years ago, like that there are people that are running at the Olympic Games that have records and they know what my name is, I'd be like, you're lying. Like that doesn't exist. Like I think that's something that's special about the track world of how close knit it is, of where people know all over, and it's like the degrees of separation are so small. Like it's a very close knit community. So, but yeah, it's great opportunities, and looking forward to this year. Well, I guess to close out, anything that you're looking forward to for the rest of 2025? What any goals, things that you got planned for this coming up?
2025, I would say, greatest year ever. Claim it in Jesus' name. I firmly believe that it will be the greatest year ever. Training has been going well. One thing I've noticed, this has been the first year that I started back training, and I feel like I don't have to learn how to sprint from scratch again. Like I feel like I actually retained a lot of my sprinting and technique from last season. I'm older and I'm wiser now. I'm smarter. So I'm going to use that experience for sure to the best of my ability and make sure that it's worked the right way. But I'm excited. The body feels good and mentally I'm in a good place. So I'm just really excited for this upcoming season. Greatest year ever, I would say.
Greatest year ever. Get ready. Gonna be a great year. Well, thank you, Jereem, for joining us on the episode today. Great to hear. Looking forward to seeing you competing throughout the season, especially with the Grand Slam track coming up. Once again, happy early birthday. Hopefully we'll be able to celebrate some good friends, good family, some good eats. Maybe even get some Trinidad and Tobago KFC if you're lucky. Let's see.
Best KFC in the world, dog.
Best KFC in the world. Book it. Thanks. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. Have a good one. Peace.